Foyr. We have another 6 weeks of our Foyr Talk series here planned for our audience. We've got people braving the weather down south right now in a massive ice storm and frigid cold conditions. Joining us, Michelle will be here with us. Bernardo's here with us today to present. And the big topic today that we want to talk about with all of you is sales, because we know without sales and a real strong pipeline, we really can't grow and run our businesses the way we want to. Can't make the kind of money we want to and generate the type of income we want to. So I welcome everybody back. We have 6 series. You can go to our website and you can look at the different agenda each week with the different presenters. But I want to jump right in and get us started. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. So our Foyr Neo weekly talk series, just gonna bring this up, is really designed. It's a free webinar series for interior designers. We've been doing this now for the past year. It's an initiative that we've taken. We feel it's a great way to give back, a great way to continue to connect with the interior design community. So a few things before we get going. Watch a new webinar every Thursday. So we're going to continue to do these on Thursday afternoons. We're going to have different agendas. We're going to have different speakers each week. We're going to blow through all types of topics from marketing to sales to, the best way to quote, how to do killer proposals. You get to meet and interact with the live design community. So we've got some rock star talent that's back with us for this set. We've got actionable tips to level up your interior design business, and you can learn lots of different best practices. We encourage everyone to ask lots of questions, and there's a chance to do some giveaways and win some really good stuff. So we have prizes along the way as well. First, wanted to kind of set the tone here before we bring out our first speaker. Something that I feel is extremely important is there's 5 sales books, of all time that I really have had an impact with me that I wanted to share with the group today. So the first one I talked about in our first series last year, which is Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. I really believe that this book alone, absolutely clear number one, can be the sole source of really helping people get what they need out of lots of things like the power of desire, turning that power of desire into an obsession, a fire, an obsession to really make the things you want to have happen. Another thing that came out of there was one of the best sayings ever, quotes, whatever the mind can conceive and believe it can achieve. So I've taken that with me throughout my career and think about that on many levels. The book contains money-making secrets that can change your life. That is what it's been known for. It's been around for a very long time. It shows you what to do and it gives you how to do. So just something that you can get out of this book. It's very hands-on and it really does give you the ability to try to figure out how to really get your mind into the right spot to get out there and generate revenue. And it's a collection of wisdom from some of the wealthiest families and names that we know in history. So I encourage everybody to get that book. My second favorite, and I'm not sure how many people know Jeffrey Fox, but he has a whole bunch of little books that are very inexpensive. Most of them are under $12. And they're very short reads, but the chapters are maybe 3 to 4 pages. And Jeffrey is known for getting basically his points across in a very small window. So it's not gobs and gobs of reading, which is great when you're on the fly or you just want to pick it up and refresh from time to time. So this is how to become a rainmaker. This is all about keeping clients, growing clients, earning clients. A couple points from there. It's best $99.66 I've ever spent. So definitely get out there and get it. It's the easiest read. It's jam-packed with some amazing points around selling, how to work with clients, how to ask for referrals, what to expect with keeping clients, what you need to do. And there's a quote in there that says, rainmakers are not born, they are made. So this is something that I wanted to say as well. The book can turn any salesperson into a rainmaker. This was a book that throughout my career, when I had led sales teams, this was a book that the company had purchased, and we would give to people as part of their onboarding. They'd have to read this because there was a lot of sales strategies and different solution selling strategies that we used and incorporated in our day-to-day selling. So it was very good for that and alignment. This other one is a little treasure. This one is Jeffrey Gitomer's Little Red Book of Selling. This one is interesting. There's some funny kind of quotes in there as well, which kind of make you laugh as you go through. But it's all about people don't like to be sold, but they love to buy, right? And we all know people buy from people first. So price is usually further down on the objection list. If people like you and generally want to buy from you and trust you, you'll get the deal. The secret to climbing up is to put your heart into your work. So that's another thing. Steve Jobs has quoted many times to all of us his famous quotes about you, in order to do great work, you have to love what you do. Another point I took away from this book is your job is to create an atmosphere where people want to buy. And I think that is really invaluable advice. And the funny quote from the book is, if you buy from me, I'll make a lot of money. When I spend that money, the economy grows. And when the economy grows, you'll get more customers. So my greed is the best thing that could happen to you. You should quote that for one of your prospects, and I guarantee you'll get at least a laugh out of them, and they'll know that you're human and like to have fun. The fourth one is Shut Up and Sell. So again, the books I selected were very much around sales. These aren't marketing as much. These aren't other types of books for motivation. These are generally very much built around selling, closing, all the techniques around that, how to get more out of clients and grow your business. So this book had some interesting points that I took away as well, having read it years ago. The top closers make their sales because closing the deal is never out of their minds. So again, whatever the mind can conceive and believe it can achieve, that is one of the key sources of selling, keeping your mind straight, knowing you can sell and that you deserve the sale. Three things that are most important in sales is asking for the business. So many of us jump up and down, do whatever the prospect wants. We go through all the iterations and we forget the most important thing, which is, am I winning the business? Then you make the sale, then you close. This book will help you get focused on what type of skills are needed around selling in day-to-day selling and ongoing selling and upselling and cross-selling and asking for referrals. And there's a lot of how-tos that are in this book as well, which I really like when they give examples of specifically how you put the teachings to work inside the field. So I thought this would be another really good one to recommend. And the last one, and I know probably everyone's at least heard of this at some point in their careers, is hold on 1 minute. The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. So of course, you know, Franklin Covey, Stephen Covey's been known to be probably one of the most, from a time management, from a how to manage almost anything out there. Stephen has written books, he's given lessons, he's authored so many different types of white papers and things like that. So this book can help change more of your life, both personally, professionally. It touches on a lot of things that make the best salespeople. So this one a little less selly and a little more built around the principles to give us security around how to adapt and change, and the wisdom and power to take advantage of opportunities that change creates. And I think that with the massive change we have going on right now throughout the world, especially in the design world, specifically around e-designing become one of the hottest topics, one of the things that Foyr pays attention to on a daily basis. It gives you a lot of lessons and insights into this book for about improving personal effectiveness. And it talks about consistently that winning is a habit and so is losing, right? So it's a very powerful statement there. So without further ado, I'm going to bring this back over, and we have Michelle Lynne with us, and Michelle has been with us multiple times now. There she is. And Michelle is sitting down in Dallas, Fort Worth area, which is getting, for the past week and a half, an unseasonably crazy climate change with not only the winter weather, but just power outages and just so much happening down there. So she's with us today. We're hoping, cross your fingers, design community, that she stays online with us and is successfully able to deliver all of her content. So without further ado, I'll bring it over to Michelle Lynne.
Thank you, Richard. I appreciate it. And yes, I am here in Texas. If any of y'all are, if we do get disconnected, I've got my hotspot, my laptop set up. I'll be right back. But in the meantime, I'm going to cruise on over here to share screen. Let me get my presentation going. We're going to be talking about sales without the sleaze. So Richard, I will say I loved the book recommendations that you gave. I came in, I just finished my own live presentation in a Facebook group that I host. So I missed your first book, but I'd like to say that I have read the second, the third, I have not read the fourth, and I have read the fifth. And Jeffrey Gitomer is so darn funny and easy to read and just really great applicable things. And so many of them also address mindset, which I think is important. So thank you for sharing those. I'm going to go back and order that next one, and hopefully Amazon, hopefully the ice melts quickly enough that I can get Amazon to deliver. All right, so here we are. I think we're right on time. I'm going to do my best to honor everybody's time. My name is Michelle Lynne. For those of you who don't know me, thank you for joining. I'm president of ML Interiors Group. I actually run an interior design business in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And I also am the founder of Design for the Creative Mind. Design for the Creative Mind is a division of ML Interiors Group, if you will, that teaches interior designers the business of running their interior design business. Both ML Interiors Group and Design for the Creative Mind can be found on Instagram, and I'm sure you'll be seeing me on Foyr a lot right now. So first of all, let me congratulate Foyr for their recent launch of their ebook. It's the ultimate playbook for interior design in the new normal. I mean, y'all, we are not living in the same world we were living in 2 years ago. And I don't get paid to say this, but Foyr has been leading the way just by staying in touch with what's going on, with the changes in our market and so forth. So this book here, I've had a chance to preview it. It talks about adapting to the new way of work. So whether it is how to market yourself without the in-person mixers. Oh, hey, I think that might be my presentation. It's amplifying your digital presence, embracing the new changes in how spaces are designed and functions. So residential trends are different than they were a couple of years ago. Commercial trends are different. Their causes, their impacts, maintaining social distancing and safety protocols, and expanding virtual clientele and embracing e-design. So that's just the table of contents that I printed out. And there's a link right here that has the playbook that you can download as a PDF. I will be putting it in my stories. I know it's been on Foyr's Instagram as well. You guys really need to grab it. There's some good stuff in there with some great links. All right, so congratulations, Foyr. Consistency. Let's talk about consistency. Consistency creates confidence for a variety of different reasons. But let's first talk about these folks here. You recognize this logo? I'm assuming 99% of you, if not all of you, do. They are the epitome of consistency. They create a personalized customer experience, but wherever you go, you know it's a Starbucks. Now, as designers, we know it by their design. It's got a certain vibe. But have you ever ordered a cup of coffee in Seattle or in South Beach, Florida? Exact same recipe consistently across the board. So this was not unintentional, because if you think about it, how do you get away with charging almost over $5 for a cup of coffee, right? A cup of coffee. But they can do this because they are consistent and you are confident that every single time you order a pumpkin spice latte, you're going to get exactly the same recipe in any part of the world. So consistency in our business is imperative for a variety, and we're about to explain why. Every design is different. I'm assuming you've never done two exact designs. Neither have I, and I've been in business since 2008. So every design is different, but the process should remain the same. The consistency is going to create confidence in you, which in turn is going to exude confidence to your client. So this is most important during the sales process. Consistency, research, development, procurement, and installation. These are the 4 parts to every single design project you will ever do. Well, maybe not procurement. If you're doing e-design, you're not doing procurement or installation. But for full service interior design, research, development, procurement, and installation are the 4 parts. Research and development are still going to be applicable whether you're doing e-design or full service. And today, we're talking about the research phase, because the research phase is the sales process. You have leads, they turn into prospects, they turn into customers. This is what you call a sales funnel. For those of you who have not worked in a sales industry or have a sales background, you always want to keep your funnel full. At the top, you're going to have a lot of leads, and then they turn into prospects, and then they turn into customers. So if you can't see, it is a funnel shape. Not all leads are going to become your customers, and that's okay. Like, seriously, that's really okay, because some leads you don't want as customers, because they will just create the nightmare that we have all experienced. Research. The research phase at ML Interiors Group, and what I teach, is the virtual meet and greet, the initial visit, the scope of work presentation, and this all leads to the signed contract. We do it the exact same way every single time with every single lead. From there, they turn into a prospect or they don't. And that's okay. The people who do not come and work with us, I know sometimes you dodge a bullet. And other times it's just not a personal fit. So if you think about it, you may not have married everybody that you dated. So you can kind of go through the dance, you can kind of figure out if this is going to work or not, and then you can potentially move forward. So when you have a standard process, when you have that research phase where it's the virtual meet and greet, the initial visit, the scope of work presentation, and then you get the signed contract, what this does, it allows you to recognize the red flags. So as you're going through each step, which we're about to talk about, you can recognize, so in our virtual meet and greet, you told me you only have $10,000, but you want to completely renovate your kitchen. Okay, red flag. Okay, so you only want to spend $7,000 in your, I don't know, everything's bigger here in Texas, your 500 square foot living room. So how's that going to work? So these are the red flags that you're listening to, because you're having the same conversation. You're just having it with different people all the time. You're going to know what works and what doesn't work. So if you are going out of order, or if you're flying off the cuff, if you are just kind of like frazzled all the time when you're talking to people, you will not recognize the red flags as readily as you would as if you created this consistent research/sales phase. What you want to do is you want to set your prospective clients' expectations from the very beginning. This is actually a slide from one of our virtual meet and greets. It's the ML experience. We tell them research, development, procurement, and installation. This is exactly how I work. So I am selling them on my organization and my professionalism, and the implementation of their project is not going to be random. This is how we are educating and explaining to our client. Tell them why you are a badass, and all of you are a badass. I can guarantee you that. You just have to reach in and find it and own it. And then you need to tell your prospect at this point, why it benefits them. So I used to think that my background, not traditionally in interior design, like I did not go through design school, I did not work for a design firm, I didn't go a traditional path. I thought that was a weakness. Once I reached inside myself to figure out why I'm a badass, I was like, oh, all my business background, duh. This is why it is important to my client. And here's the thing, clients don't really care about me. They care about themselves. So it's not why I'm a badass. It's why it's important to them. So it's important to my client because I have budget management practice. I have checklists, I have Friday follow-ups, I have client binders, I have internal processes and procedures, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You are going to have other experiences. You might be a mother of multiples. You might be a world traveler who has, an amazing art degree experience, et cetera, et cetera. Everybody has a badassness in them that you can share with your client and let them know why it's important to them. Again, we are educating our clients, selling without the sleaze. You want to showcase your value during each step of the process. In the sales is sales without the sleaze. I just said that. Yeah. So you want to show your prospect how you deliver your designs. And then you want to tell your prospect what they can expect when working with you. So like, seriously, this is show and tell. It's like being back in the second grade. I remember Mrs. Willett. I would take my my Barbie head doll that I could do her hair and show them how, show and tell. It was just the funniest thing. So here I am, however many years later, Lord knows I don't want to do that math, but I'm showing and telling again. And that's where you can show and tell your client, and it educates them on the value of what we do. Because if you imagine that a lot of this is just inherently an instinct to you, all your clients know is not what's in your heart or in your mind. All they know is their perception of our job. And that could be fluffing pillows and picking out paint because they just watched an episode of HGTV where they did a whole renovation in 17 minutes, not including commercials. So we have to explain to them all of the nuances that go into what we do on a regular basis. It's not just about making rooms pretty. So share with them, this is how I do a space plan. I ensure that this drawing is the same size as your room, because this is what you can do in Foyr's Neo. I can spread it all out. I can take a look at what it looks like. I can ensure that, oh, wow, a 9x12 rug isn't going to be big enough. I'm going to need a 12x14 so that the chairs can fit on it. So you can take a look at all of that and show them this is going to be the basic setup in your dining room. And here's where you're coming. Here's your entry. Here's your formal living room. You can point it all out for them so they know where they are in the room. Then you're going to show them this, y'all, what we're doing here is in the meet and greet or in the research phase. This isn't their design. You're sharing with them somebody else's design, or maybe if you're new in the business, you're sharing with them, this is how I will share your design with you. This isn't yours. This is just a sample. And that's what I tell my clients. This is just a sample. This might not even be your style. But what I will do is I will show you basically what your floor plan is going to look like. I'm going to show you the selections that you get. And what I'll do as well, Mr. and Miss Client or whomever, is I will also have as many samples as possible. So if I can get this rug and I can get a 2x3, or I can get a sample sent by the manufacturer, by the vendor, then I will have a sample of it during your own design presentation of your own rug. And you will be able to, I don't know, take your shoes off, walk on it, roll on it, lay down on it, whatever you want to do. If I can have a sample of the woven material of this chandelier, then I will have a sample of it for you to see, because some of these things are not in showrooms. Some of us, I'm blessed, I live in Dallas and I have a design center here. Not everybody does, but you can have these things mailed to you. If you are doing a, what we'll do is I'll show them that these items will go home with you with your design. These are not from this, but I just share with them that we do get samples of fabric. We get samples of materials that when we do your design, you will have the ability to take them home so you can confirm that you like the way they see, like the way they feel. So they look different on screen. We'll have samples of the paint to take home. So we are sharing with them in a sales process. This is how I will show you your design. And then they have an understanding that they're not going to lay awake at night wondering if they're going to hate their design. I mean, because there's a fear factor. You put a lot of time and energy into somebody who's not showing their professionalism. You don't know what you're going to end up with. And here's the cool part. Then this is how I, with Foyr Neo, show you what your dining room is going to look like. And then ta-da, that's the after. So if you don't have an after because you're just starting off in business, don't worry about it. Just show them your badass rendering over here, because that is going to give them a lot of confidence in your ability to deliver what you are promising them. So the consistency of the virtual meet and greet, and you're showing them this to begin with. This is how you are skipping a discovery call. You are showing them what you've got going on. Then you will move into the initial visit and get some information from them there so that you can create your own scope of work and pricing that goes with it. But this is the sales part of it. And what we do is sexy. So sales should not be something that you dance around, because who doesn't like looking at this? As you're going through in your virtual meet and greet, and then you will repeat these key slides in your scope of work. So you have your virtual meet and greet. If they're interested in moving forward with you, you go to the initial visit and you're just going to go ahead and confirm that everything that they're everything that they have described is possible. So if they're wanting something uber contemporary, but they live in a house that looks like a castle with a moat around it, you might need to tell them that the inside and the outside are going to cause a headache. But you also want to share with them exactly what fees to expect along the way. This is an image of exactly what we do. We have our design fee. The largest expenditure, unless it's construction, is going to be your furniture, art, accessories, and window treatments. There's a procurement fee, and then there's a receiving fee. So really, it's just sharing with them exactly what they can expect. Nobody likes to go through a process and feel like they're nickeled and dimed with things that they didn't expect. So if you're going to buy a car, you get a list of everything on that vehicle. You're not, and then you get your total price. It's not going to be, oh, and by the way, if you want heated seats on that car that you just picked out, I know it's listed right there, but it's going to be another $2,000. Like, no, here's everything you can expect, and here's your total. So when they do come for their scope of work presentation, you're reminding them of why you're, of your badassness and why it's important to them, how you are going to deliver their designs to them by showing them a sample. And then you are going to share with them some of the fees that they can anticipate related to all of your services. This is where the rubber meets the road, and some clients say, I didn't realize there was going to be this, that, and the other. Okay, well, if you don't want to pay a procurement fee or for a receiver, well, then maybe we need to slide over to eDesign instead of the full service, and you're going to do a lot of the work yourself. So this gives you the opportunity to have a conversation with your client, which is part of sales. You're not shoving your services down their throat. You give them options because you give them a conversation. And this is a partnership where they're developing trust. So I think Richard said in one of the books, people buy from people they know, like, and trust. So if they know you, and they obviously are getting to know you, They like you because you are a friendly, personable, professional individual that they have obviously gravitated towards, or they wouldn't have called you. Now you're building their trust because you are showing them, this is how I do this, do that. I run my business this way. I show you your designs this way. This is how I charge my clients. And there's consistency in this process because you are creating confidence in yourself. Because if you think about it, you are training a muscle. Like, I could do this in my sleep. I can give a meet and greet and probably not even open my eyes. I know what slides come in the next time. I know what slides come in the next time. My team, I'm blessed with 2 amazing designers. They are on a meet and greet right now. No. Yeah, they're on a virtual meet and greet on another Zoom call without me because they can do it. So it is very viable for you to rinse and repeat once you get the flow of your basic presentation. And right now we're doing all of our meet and greets virtual. We've been doing it that way for 2 or 3 years because previously I had a brick and mortar studio, and one of my designers lives an hour in one direction and one of them lives an hour in another direction. And so coming into the studio for a meet and greet and dragging our busy clients down there was just a waste of time. So this is a perfect way in the COVID area to build it into your process. And you're not wasting time going out to project sites that are not pre-qualified. So the only surprise your client should have during your entire design process is the final reveal. Like, they should be so excited, like they walk in, and don't you just love that? That is the best part of our job. It's like the sheer joy and excitement that happens with our clients. And I'm trying to figure out how much time do I have, y'all? Where am I?
You're good.
So perfect, thank you. The only surprise your client should have during your entire design process is the final reveal. But something to keep in mind is that it is your choice who you accept as a client. And that is really imperative, because when I first started my business, I thought I would take everybody who picked up the phone to call me. At the end of the day, this process that we're walking people through allows you to interview these prospects as much as they're interviewing you. So if at some point you're getting these red flags, like maybe there's just no communication, maybe there's no eye contact when you guys are on the virtual meet and greet, or when you're at their initial visit, or when you are presenting their scope of work. So as you're going through this process, there's no eye contact. Seems kind of weird. So maybe you don't actually get to the scope of work because you're just feeling like that you're not going to be a good resource for them. Or maybe the interaction between the couple that you're dealing with is very hostile and you don't want to put yourself in the middle of that. I mean, I've experienced that, and it was early on in my career, and it was a bummer because I took the job and man, they were jerks to work with to me. I mean, if they were jerks to themselves, it's your choice. You also don't need to lower your budget. No, you don't need to lower your fees to meet their budget. So if you are sitting here in any position and you have provided them with your scope of work and your design fees associated with what you're going to deliver, and they ask you, that's really great, but could you do it for X number of dollars less? Well, then your response could very easily be, absolutely, I can do it for less. But what would you like me to leave out? And so if they're like, well, I don't want you to leave anything out, but I want you to do it for less, then you could very easily tell them, well, then I might not be the best resource for you because I think that this is a very fair, a fair fee. So give yourself that power to know that it's your choice who you accept as a client. That is part of sales. And you are not trying to be all things to all people. So as you're going through the process of the virtual meet and greet, the initial visit, the scope of work, and the signing of the contract, you are going through and just looking to make sure it's a good fit. It's a personal service that we offer. So I think I alluded to this a little bit earlier. Y'all, you are not selling a room full of furniture. You're also not selling your time. You are selling joy and happiness and peace and gaiety. You're selling your expertise. You're selling dreams that become tangible. You're selling cozy. You're selling like, you're kind of selling like what feels like a hug. You're selling the backdrop to hundreds of future memories in these people's homes. You're selling comfort, and you are selling your design genius. You have to believe this as you are going through your sales process. If you are coming from a place of desperation because you need a client, that energy is going to come across and it is going to repel the business that should be coming towards you. You need to attract it. So some of the books that Richard had mentioned talk a lot about your mindset and a lot about the universal laws of sales. And you have to believe what you are selling in order for others to believe in it. So if you haven't, take a screenshot of this slide and remember it. When you are feeling like you are just another cog in somebody's wheel, because how do you create cozy? How do you put a price on that? You have to believe that. And one of the most impressioned, I don't know how to explain it. One of the best compliments we ever got from a client who actually, he told me this. He's like, I'm paying you more than I wanted to pay you, but I know that you will get the job done based on what you've shown me. Okay. So he told me that. And I was like, oh, because I probably should have charged you more. It was at the when I was continuing to increase my prices because we were getting better software and better renderings and stuff. So the compliment he gave us was, I always looked forward to coming home to see my family. Now I walk through the door and I say, ah, because of what we do. So keep that in mind and believe it. Now, you have to believe it to achieve it. And I think that Richard was like, what the mind believes the body will achieve, or something along that line. There's a whole bunch of iterations of it, but you have to believe it to achieve it. And by achieve it, I mean getting the signed contract. Because if you don't believe it, asking for a signature on your contract is going to be very, very awkward. Okay? I mean, you don't want to be put in this position. So let's open this for questions and answers, Richard. I'm happy to share as much as necessary. I am going to give a gratuitous plug here, is that if you want to join my Facebook group for weekly training, the Interior Designers Business Launchpad, just head on over there and ask to be admitted. And if you're not doing anything these days, I just happen to be running a free workshop. It's called Rolling in the Dough. It's how to qualify, quote, and close high-end clients so your profits are baked into the project. We talked a lot about what we just went over, but in a lot more detail. I'll have replays up through Tuesday, I believe. And then I also just opened my doors to a year-long program. So
Okay.
that's that.
Awesome. I'll ask you a few questions that we had come through.
Thank you.
After setting expectations on what was to be given to a client, they come back to you and want to either upgrade or add additional services to that same sale. How would you approach negotiating or drawing a line?
Oh, I love it when that happens. I just create a new scope of work. So you come to them and you say, okay, here's what we're doing. Let's just say it is a redesign of a master bedroom. And they're like, awesome, this looks so good. You know what? While you're here, let's do the guest bedroom too. Awesome. I will create another scope of work and I'll have a separate contract for that. It's as easy as that. And anybody who hires you is probably going to be a professional, because let's face it, what we do is a luxury service. They should understand that. Don't just agree to do a little bit of this. Oh, let me go. I want some curtains in the living room while you're doing my master bedroom. Okay, let me create another scope of work for you and another contract, and that will include another fee. So I think we've all learned that one the hard way. What about this? What about that? And
Awesome.
so, yeah, it could go on forever, and you'd never get paid for it.
Here's another one. How would you handle someone rejecting your first proposal?
You know what? I would actually say thank you um, to God and in the universe, because that means that that just wasn't my client. If they reject my first proposal, now, if they reject it overall, and I've had this happen, then it's just because maybe something, don't take it personally. So that's my first piece of advice, is do not take it personally. You can very easily ask them why. Has something changed in the background? You don't know. Maybe somebody just lost their job. Maybe they've decided to sell their house and move. They're just not telling you these things. Now, if they're rejecting your total, what we've done is we break our prices down by room if they're asking us to do more than one area. And then oftentimes what they'll do is they look at the grand total, like at, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then here's the grand total. And they might say, I don't want to pay that much right now. Great. Which room do you want to take off? And we can add that to the next phase or something. So they're not rejecting you. Keep that in mind. They're rejecting your proposal, but you don't always know why. You do have a right to ask, hey, just, totally respect your decision. As a business owner, can you explain to me a little bit about why, so that I can learn from it and improve as I go forward? And people will oftentimes give you a very valid response. And it could be, yeah, just lost my job, or something along that line. And it's not oftentimes anything that has to do with you.
Okay, perfect. Another one, do you include 3D renders in all your projects?
We do on our full service interior design if the client needs it. So sometimes we'll do it just from one perspective. We don't give them the entire perspective. And sometimes we do it for some rooms and not all rooms. So the rooms that might be getting a complete makeover, then yeah, I think it's important for them to be able to see it in order to sign off on it. So as often as possible. Another reason why is because it elevates the service that we can provide to the client, and we can charge more for it. Plus, it also double checks us to make sure that all of our ideas are, genius. Every once in a while you drop something in and you're like, oh, that doesn't look as good as I thought it was going to. So we try to.
Yep. Here's one. How do you sell your design ideas during a consultation without giving away your design for free?
I don't. So the consultation, so what we do is okay, so let me rephrase that. We use the term initial visit versus consultation. So if you want a consultation, then you're going to pay me for my design genius. If you want an initial visit, as we talked about in these first 4 steps, then what I do is I tell them in advance, like at the meet and greet, hey, listen, we're going to make this appointment. I'm going to be out at your house. This is what we're going to do. I am not going to be giving you all sorts of design ideas. We might toss a few things back and forth, but I am not here to solve problems. This is just reconnaissance for me to get the information it is going to take in order to create your design solutions that I will deliver at a later date. And I also send them a confirmation email in advance that says something basically the same way, because sometimes people just don't listen. If we do have ideas while we're out there, sometimes we'll share them and bounce it back and forth with them. Like, what do you think if we did this? What do you think about that? And then also I will always tell them, don't fall in love with any of these ideas. 1, I don't know if we can afford it in your budget. 2 is that I don't know if there's going to be once I start drawing out the floor plan and your renderings, I don't know if it's going to be the best solution. So like I had a client one time fall in love with the idea of a sectional because I mentioned it in their living room and how cozy it would be, blah, 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 blah. And I just thought it was the greatest idea. And then we dropped it into the floor plan. We're like, oh no, that's not the best idea. But she had fallen in love with the idea of a sectional. So we had to make the sectional work. And then it was just not the best design outcome. But she had fallen in love with the idea of a sectional. And I did not give a disclaimer that this is not the final decision. So I hope that answers your question.
Yep, perfect. How valuable has Foyr Neo been to your business?
Fantastic. The renderings are amazing. the deliverables. I think once we started adding renderings into our into our deliverables, for lack of a better term, into our designs, the clients, once they see it, so as we're walking them through the meet and greet and they see, oh, look, you're going to show me my room before you deliver my room. They are so freaking happy to say, sure, I will hire you, because you're taking the fear. So people buy for a couple different reasons. They buy to save time, to make money, and to avoid pain and frustration. So if they can save time because we're doing the work, they can make money because, well, depending on what it is, if they were to sell their house, it would obviously look and show better because it would be staged by a designer. But then it also saves them time and frustration, or it saves them pain and frustration because they can already see the solution before they agree to it. And even though they're only seeing a sample solution, they know that we are going to be bringing their solution in a similar format. So it's been fantastic to have that tool.
And then on the heels of that, at what point in the design does a rendering come into play? Is it the final design or in the proposed design?
Our proposed design is 99% done. There are very few revisions because we've gone through and had so many conversations with the client and shared, sometimes we share previews with them. So it is, I think in that one that you just saw, I don't think anything in that rendering changed. So we've gone through and given them enough sneak peeks that once everything comes together, that they're pretty stoked. We do have room for revisions in our contract and stuff like that. So I'm not saying that every design is like, here you go, you're going to love it, take it. But we used to do the whole HGTV reveal where we would disappear for 8 to 12 weeks and then come back, and then we would spend another 4 weeks revising. We don't do that anymore.
Okay, perfect. Any advice on setting prices? That's something one of the folks in the audience is struggling with.
Yeah, setting prices is brutal. A lot of it depends on your market, and it depends on your experience, and it depends on your deliverables. We base ours off of the square footage of the room and how many layers need to go into it. Obviously, if we are doing a full kitchen renovation, there's a lot more layers and details that need to go into those specifications than if we are just doing a dining room. And if they have a dining room and they already have an amazing set of tables and chairs, they just need to have some reupholstery done and some accents around it, it's going to be a lot less per square foot than if they needed the whole entire room furnished. It's something that I do teach, but it's not something that I could give a specific formula to right now, because there's a lot of data that you have to extrapolate. There's a lot of calculations that you need to run, and then you need to be able to cross-reference any experience that you might have, and then you just start keeping track of your data and build on it. We examine ours annually, if not semi-annually.
Yep, and I'll say in the chat there was a link put in there because Michelle has a free 5-day virtual workshop for interior designers, and she certainly addresses a lot of those type of questions within the workshops.
Thanks for the link.
Yep, and then we also have one other question here. What do you think about pricing per square foot cost for commercial projects?
That is it. So it's still how we do it. We do more of a boutique commercial, but what we have found is that oftentimes the square footage isn't all utilized. So your dollar per square foot just has to come down to what might feel low. So let's just say for residential full service interior design for a living room, you would charge $1 bazillion per square foot. Okay. Then for commercial, you might charge $250 million per square foot because it's a freaking hallway. All you're going to do is pick out the flooring material. You're not going to be decorating this square footage. So you would take a look at this might be a section. So you might break it down by area and say, okay, so for the employee lounge, it's going to be this amount. For the receptionist area, it's going to be this amount. For the whatever it is, if it's a nail salon or something like that, you can just break it down by piece and how much work is going to need to go into it. Because if it's a nail salon, then you're just going to pick out one of the seats and basins and do 12 of them or however many, but that's done. You're not going to need to charge as much for that as making your grand entrance as amazing as possible. And then your employee lounge, that's just going to depend on the client. How good does he want to treat his employees or her employees?
All right, excellent. Michelle, as usual, thank you for all the chock full of information we got today. We had a very active group on the chat and on the Q&A. I hope we got to all the Q&A that's out there, and we're going to get ready to bring on Bernardo.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate
and
it.
stay warm.
Yeah, I'm just grateful the power's on because it's much easier to stay warm that way.
Yeah, we wish you the best of luck. I know it's nuts. Thank you for joining us through all the chaos down there.
Good luck to everybody.
Thanks, Michelle. All right, so our next guest here, Bernardo Longueira, has been with us for at least one talk series. He may have been with us for two, but the last time around, Bernardo showed us some amazing renderings and some of the work he's been doing within Neo. I mean, one of the most advanced designers that I've seen personally in talking to all the different designers within our community. His work is pretty breathtaking. So when we bring him up here, I'm going to let him take over and share his screen. So Bernardo, if you are ready, I'm going to let you take it away.
Hey, Richard. Can you hear me?
Yeah, good. We can see you. We can hear you. Yep.
Awesome. Perfect.
We're good.
Well,
we're good.
Thank you. Thank you so much again for having me here. It's the third time that I've been here sharing knowledge and everything that I've been learning through of the evolution of Foyr. So it's been quite a journey since last March I started with my first rendering, and it was it was a thing that you always have to keep in mind, that you have to keep practicing, because the software has everything that you need in order for you to present a really amazing render to your project, to your clients. But you have to practice. It's a matter of time, effort, being curious, and trying different new textures that you will find within the software. I mean, my first render wasn't like the ones that I do right now, and everything has been thanks to the software, the evolution of the software. So let me share my screen with you right here, and then I'll share the other one. Okay. Are you able to see this presentation?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna, this is just a quick presentation because I'm gonna go to show you a little bit of how I make the renders on Neo. So tips to make great renders. So, you must have some type of education, courses, etc. on interior design. Why? Because this is your base. This is the fundamentals of your renders, of your style, of everything that you're going to be able to create. Not necessarily you have to have a career or anything like that, but you have to have some sort of like courses or experience in certain way that you are able to implement the principles of design, which, balance, symmetry, harmony, colors, etc. So every time that I create a render, I imagine myself being there. Am I going to be able a green sofa with, in the middle of I don't know, like on the backyard? know, right? So you have to imagine yourself being there, seeing everything, and that's how I start, creating renders. So get inspirations. Nowadays technology is, amazing. You can find like anything on Instagram, Facebook, internet. So get inspirations from like everywhere, different renders, different styles, things like that, and then just kind of like imagine creating a project to a client. Now that you have that, you can start creating a project on Neo. Another tip is try textures from already rendered items. As you all know, or if you don't know, uh, on the software, you will be able to see many items, many products that are already rendered for you to look at. So you can throw it in the project and then just grab the texture, and you already know how you will have kind of like an idea that how it's going to look at the end. So use the preview tool at all times. The first time that I started using Foyr back in March, this tool wasn't there. So it was crazy because I was just like spending credit by credit by credit by credit, and until one day I just ran out of it. But the preview tool is gold, because you're going to be able to see how your design is looking. Now, for products or items that are not, that you will not be able to find easily within the project catalog, just use organic shapes and kind of like create your own. For instance, my personal favorite organic shape is a cube, because I will show you right now. So be creative. Do not mix different styles in one render, because you will not be able um, to to implement what you have learned as an interior designer or as a designer. So less is more. Turn off lighting when necessary. Only use the sunlight. That will create a better intimate space when your design is rendered. Use night mode instead. So whenever you render it and you know that you see that your render it's too bright, try to go ahead and do the night mode, and that will create a render to look much rich. Take advantage of COVID. So now that you know that many people were still inside our homes for so many hours, you will be able to create many designs that people will be able to see more often. Why? Because they are in home, all the time on social media, on internet, things like that. So this is an example of a render that I have created. This is all in Neo. This is not anywhere else. So realistic textures, this is plaster texture that I use. It is in Neo. I will show you how to create this fire, which, it's I discovered by myself. Lighting effects, perfect ambient. So this is a rendered, let's say, at night, right? But this is a render using, the tools that you will be able to see at the end of kind of like adjusting the lighting and things like that. So this is another rendered. So whenever I render a project, I kind of like I like to show a little bit of the landscaping, the background, right? So it doesn't look that plain, but it doesn't show that much. So you will not make your render too busy if you leave a space, clean, let's say, right? So make sure to use the sun position in a pretty, in a good location, so you have, a little more realistic effect. Also, I will show you right now how do I discover this grass effect. So this is I rendered a project that I did for a client using Serena and Lily wallpaper. And what I'm trying to explain you here is that you don't have to show everything. Just show a little bit. Just use the camera angles that you will be able to show your clients a little bit of everything, and they will have the idea. You know, so this picture, this render was actually featured in the Serena and Lily website and Instagram, which was amazing for me. So, and you know, I mean, they didn't share this. They shared this because it tells you so much in this picture. So use your camera angles correctly. Now, so let's go ahead and, can you see here the Neo screen?
We're still seeing the camera angles.
Okay, let me change it. Stop. Application. Where are you? Okay, so let's start with this one. Okay, so can you see it now?
Yes.
Okay, so this is the project that I did that I show you with the realistic grass. If you can see here, if you zoom in, you will see the grass. But you have no idea that this grass I took it from is hiding this this group of you see right here. So if you ungroup it, I'm going to show you which one it is. So this is a planter, you know, that I used for I actually discovered by mistake. I was kind of like typing grass and this came up. So I was like, okay, so let's group this and then move it and hide it underneath. And then you will create this grass effect, right? So right now, so all these things are skills that you will be able to learn within the software. Of course, I mean, Foyr, it's evolving so much that probably in the future, hopefully, you will not be able to do all this because there will be, you know, an easier way to have the grass, you know, built there. So again, this is a pool that I created with the texture of water fountain. So I actually enlarged the water fountain and kind of create this kind of like a waterfall effect of an infinity pool, like, you know, in front of the ocean. So all this pool is built with cubes, stretched cubes underneath to create the floor of the pool. And then, of course, the most important cube, which is the texture, which will give you the water texture. All right, so this is just a quick, so this is kind of like the top view, right? So of course, I mean, if you don't want to see the surroundings, just cover it with greenery, tall trees, things like that, and you will create a more intimate space and more private space that, you know, rendered it will look amazing. Now, let me show you. Let me show you that. Let me change them. I think it's this one. Nope, this one. Okay, are you seeing the same one? I don't know, it's not letting me.
No, we're just seeing you now.
Okay. Mm, let's see, okay. You see, can you see it now?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So now this is another um, project that I did. The one that I show you first on the presentation. So how did I create it this fire effect? So this actually it is, like I said, I found it by mistake. So I just remember I just typed fire on the catalog and this thing came up. And I was like, okay, so I want to use this silhouette, this form of fire, and I want to recreate it and I want to clone it all the way, inside this kind of like a fireplace inside, right? So what you're gonna do, just make it 0, because by default it's gonna give you 1 inch, but you really want to be like really thin because it's just fire, right? So just go ahead and type 0 and you will have like a 0 inches shown like this. Now, how do I did this fire effect? So my personal one that I use most of the times that I use this fire effect is this one, fireplace 3. So whenever you enter it, you will see 2 different textures. The one that I like is the one that has this gas effect here, the blue, the one that you see on conventional gas fireplaces. So just copy texture and material, click there, and then just use it there. And then just adjust the texture. So I put it on 73, so you will be able to see a little bit of the, blue gas coming. So a little bit like right here, let's say. So this, and then you will see, you will have this effect, right? So now the effect of the lighting, right now there's no lighting for like floor lighting, let's say, for kind of like spot lighting. So what I did, this is actually a ceiling lighting. It's a spotlight. So what I did, I just free movement, rotate it from back up, so it kind of like it light up the trees. So again, same thing here. I just put a little bit of lighting here to kind of like show off the water fountain. So again, so many of these items are real items, like real textures. This is a marble a texture that I use from vendor that has gold touches in it. It looks really beautiful in real life. This is a art frame from Jonathan Ander. So the many things are that are here are real. So, but you will be able to see that to implement them by investigating, by doing your research, by going through Instagram, interior design pages, things like that. So that's where I get all my inspirations. That's where I get all this art and art wall, things like that. So everything that you see here, it's just an image that I uploaded. So if you see here, everything it's an image that comes from a real product from different designers. So everything is within the software. It's just you need to kind of like discover it in a sense, that that you will combine with your expertise in interior design and your knowledge in interior design, and that in combining all those details, you will be able to create amazing renders. So, but I guarantee you this, that you will not be able to create anything like this if you don't try, if you don't practice, if you don't, um, you know, if you don't sit yourself and then just for 2-3 hours so you can experiment different things in the software. So that everything is in the software. I mean, for instance, I mean, this effect is vent, AC air conditioning vent that I did here. This effect is actually a cube. You see, it's a ceiling cube. It's just stretched out all the way. So you will have this kind of like effect that there's a modern vent, AC vent, right? So the floor has to be, really pretty, like pretty realistic. You have to be able to play with the sizes. If you know that the number of tiles stretches the texture too much, use the tile size, and then you will be able to shrink the texture of whatever you're doing on the floor, and you will be able to create this more realistic um, uh, flooring, right? So right here, it's the floor. So you see, so it's so this effect, this lighting effect that you see here is actually a lighting strip, which is one of my favorites as well. Here, so all these tools are here in the software. I mean, like I said back in March, the preview tool wasn't there, the free movement tool wasn't there, so you wouldn't be able to kind of like move everything like everywhere. So I mean, the object used to attach itself to the wall or something, but you weren't able to literally free movement like all around. So like I said before, the software is evolving, is having so many exposure, nowadays. So it's up to you how you wanna, if you wanna be part of the evolution, let's say, or just kind of like get to know other software, or but it's up to you. It's up to the time that you spend on it, the time that you that you really want your your projects to become better and better, because this is not only just a nice render, it's an opportunity for you to sell yourself to people, to clients, to friends, to that you are able and capable of creating beautiful projects, beautiful renders. I mean, it's not easy. It's not something that will happen tomorrow, but if you don't try, I guarantee you that it will not happen. So you really have to try. You really have to do whatever it takes for you to keep your business growing, your knowledge growing. So people will come to you easily. I mean, just don't look for people. Just concentrate on creating beautiful renders, on creating beautiful designs, on creating, whatever you do, just concentrate on that, and the noise will come. So, I mean, I didn't thought that I was gonna get here back in March when I had no job because of the pandemic. So, now I have, now that I kind of like that I'm able to control the software in a certain way, I am able to expose myself in a way that many people, not only my friends, not only my family, but clients, other designers are interested in working with me, that I can create their renders for them, their projects for them. And it's really satisfactory, because this is a dream that I have been having since I was a kid. But it didn't happen just because. It happened because I worked for it. It happened because there were many obstacles in my life. It happened because I really, really, really wanted to this happen. So, yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Bernardo. Appreciate it. We have some questions if you want to hang out for a few minutes. I can give you a few. So someone said they're struggling with wallpaper and wood grains. Is there a secret you're using to getting your tile sizes and percentages correct?
So, what do they mean by wallpaper? But not stretching too much, or what do you mean?
Yeah, I think it's in the way of stretching is how I would take it when you're doing wallpapers and tiles and backsplashes.
Okay, so for backsplashes, I use the poster paper, and then I just size the number of tiles that I want to use. That's for backsplash. For wallpaper, what I do, so sometimes I get high resolution pictures on internet from the wallpaper that I want to implement. So what I do sometimes, I kind of like, let's say, let me see if I can find one here so I can show it to you. So, but yeah, so this is a Gucci wallpaper that I use for a project. So if you see here, it has lines. So what I did, I kind of like glue them all together. I edit them. I edit the picture in Photoshop. I edit it and I glue them all together to create one piece. And this is the piece that I used. This is the image that I use on the render that I created, which is right here. So you see right here, everything it's glued together, let's say. So this is another way that I create wallpapers. But of course, I mean, you have to. I suggest you to find wallpapers, high resolution pictures from wallpapers, and everything is there. You just have to keep looking.
Okay, excellent. Here's another one. Would you suggest using scale figures in your renderings?
Figures.
Yeah, scale figures. I guess I'm
like
maybe
like people?
Yeah.
People, I would say. I have never done it. I think I did once for a commercial project of a tailoring salon, but I didn't like it. I just thought that it was kind of like grabbing your attention to the people. So I wanted just to present an empty, clean, good looking design instead of just like people or pets or things like that. So it's just my suggestion, but you can always do whatever you want depending on how realistic you want to do it.
Yep, and we have a bunch of different types of pets now available in the catalog as well.
Yeah, I used to love the cat.
Yeah. This says, have you utilized the walkthrough tool in your presentations yet?
So I haven't done that because it takes a lot of your credits, and I really want to be able to have a client that is interested in doing the walkthrough. I think I did once, but just to try it. But I mean, again, if you feel comfortable that instead of 5, 6 different pictures, a walkthrough will be better for your client to understand the space better. I mean, like I said, I mean, everything it's in software. You can utilize it.
Here's one that says, I hate the way the lighting fixtures and ceiling grids appear to be strangely skewed at certain angles when everything else seems like it's in perfect perspective. Is there any tips you have for that?
Ceiling grids. Let's
Maybe
see.
track lighting, puck lighting, some of the down lighting.
Right. So for track lighting, there's a way that you can create your own, kind of like just build. There's one, I think this is the one that I use, so you can just adjust it and make it smaller, and then just add another one, and just group it at the end. You will have this effect right here, this track light effect. So I don't know if sometimes people, they just don't see the base of the chandelier or whatever. Just use the cylinder shape, and then just shrink it and make it small. So
You trying to show this now?
I'm trying.
Okay.
To
try and just reshare, and then
yeah.
That should do it.
Yeah.
Yep,
So,
we can see it.
All right. So this is another design that I did, and this one, I think this is what the question meant. So some chandeliers are longer, and if you shrink them, the chandelier will deform. So what I do, I just free movement like this, and if you see, the base is right here, but it's hidden. So what you do, you just use the cylinder shape, and then just do height 1, and then you will create the base of the chandelier without deforming the actual product. This happens a lot because the items are not, you cannot shrink them without deforming them anymore. So just, free move them. I use the free movement, and then just create the base, and then that will create kind of like the sense of, a little more realistic effect.
Perfect. I've got another question here for you, and it says, my first render of a small bathroom came back with the room sitting in a grass field with mountains in the background. What did I do wrong?
My first render of a small bathroom came back to me with the room sitting in the grass.
Yeah, and mountains in the background. So there's features for putting in backgrounds where you could do a cityscape, look outside, or you can do a
Right.
right. And if you're like missing any of the walls, then it will fill in with something like that. So just check your settings on that, because I've seen that happen. with some of the stuff I've done because I'm not a high-end
Mhm.
designer.
I mean, if I will need to see it because I'm trying to I'm having a hard time trying to imagine it. But if I mean, you can just email me, send it to me, and I will help you out. No problem. So is I mean, for instance, this render it, I render it at night because if I did the daylight, everything looked too bright. So I think it went well doing it night and then just adjusting um, the lighting. But I mean, yeah, I mean, just email me or send it through a message, and I will be able to help you. Yeah, sorry, I can. I'm having a hard time imagining it.
Yep. All right, perfect. Hey, Bernardo, I appreciate your time today. I'm going to come back on. As always, pleasure to have you here. Pleasure to
Thank
see
you.
all the designs you do. I mean, I will reiterate that you have to practice this. You, like anything, you'll only get out of this what you put into it. It's no different than playing an instrument. If you want to become an expert, you have to continue to play with the tool. Bernardo may have gotten some tutorials, may have looked at some videos, but where he's gotten to at an expert level within Neo is because he continues to drive himself to really learn the software and mess it up and play with it and touch buttons and all. I mean, that's the whole goal here. So for all of you that were asking questions in the chat, yes, we have plans to do some online classes and things like that this year. We also plan to do more videos, more how-tos, especially with new features that continue to come out. So Bernardo, appreciate everything you're doing within our community and promoting the software, and I appreciate everybody taking their time today. We're going to wrap it up. Just before we do, we have 5 more sessions coming up, so we're going to go every Thursday over the 6-week period, and we're going to continue to bring on different guest speakers with how-tos, tutorials, all kinds of interesting things. So to everyone out there, stay safe, stay warm, and we will talk to you next Thursday. Thank you, everyone.
Bye all.
Bye-bye.